While the Singapore Convention on Mediation will be helpful for international trade, it won't solve the larger issue of the US-China trade war, even though both countries have signed it. Law and Home Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam said this at a news conference held after the signing ceremony.
This convention is helpful in strengthening the multilateral order. It's helpful in terms of facilitating international trade flows. But when there are differences which arise at that strategic and political level, they also have to be dealt with at that level. This builds the foundations and helps. But this is not the solution for those issues.
International mediation has become one of the most significant methods of managing cross-border conflicts. In an article wrote by Shreya Shuntakar and Jay Kakani, they have traced the emergence of mediation in international relations right from the 19th century to the current scenario. They have explored the unique features of mediation and various techniques employed by the experts in this dispute resolution method. A rich history of successful mediations has been discussed through practical observations. These authors have also shed light upon a recent global issue which has the potential to be mediated. They believe that mediation is an empowering tool which can be used to mitigate long-standing conflicts between states and hence aim to promote this peaceful mechanism in the international arena. The concept of conflict between states is as old as the concept of state itself. When two or more states are in conflict, often they require the assistance of a third party to steer the tension in a peaceful direction and facilitate an amicable solution of the dispute. Mediation is one such peaceful mode of conflict resolution which involves a neutral third party who initiates the process by laying down the ground rules. This is followed by a problem-solving approach in which both the parties address their issues, their interests, and work towards reaching a mutually beneficial solution with the help of the mediator.
Okay, so mediation is actually referring to a practice under which in a conflict, the services of a third party are utilized to reduce the differences or to seek a solution. Mediation is actually differs from good offices in that the mediator usually takes more initiatives in proposing terms of settlement. It differs from arbitration in that the opposing parties are not bound by prior agreement to accept the suggestion be made. In many countries, there are standard procedures actually for mediating industrial disputes, in labor disputes, and so on. So if the conflict does not fall within a labor management agreement, or if it exceeds the capacity of such machinery to settle, the government usually provides a mediator.
Depending on the nature and sources of conflict, there are different ways to deal with conflict. In many contemporary conflicts, official and unofficial conflict management methods have been utilized in support of communication functions or improvement in relations designed to create a favorable atmosphere for a negotiated solution. The mediator's tasks are simple in conceptual terms and at the same time extremely difficult in practice. Among the other things, mediators facilitate communication between parties to a conflict or dispute, assist to varying degrees the parties in focusing on the major issues at the heart of the dispute, and generate or help generate options that meet the interests or needs of all relevant parties in an effort to resolve the conflict. This requires mediators to take a significant role in defining or redefining the relationship's agenda and issues at the heart of the dispute, to promote communication and search for common ground between the protagonists, and to facilitate fair, equitable, and effective solutions that will be accepted by the parties themselves. Okay, so in terms of strategies for the mediation, it's not always like we thought uh, jump into the conflict in order to settle it. No, there are several strategies that being used by mediators depending on the situation. If they find it rather suitable for that conflicted state and for that situation. So first thing first, there are three, but it doesn't necessarily have to use three of these strategies. It could be either one. Okay, so first type is called communication facilitation strategies. It is a strategies that's solely devoted to providing information to and facilitating cooperation among the parties. While it's rather limited, mediation strategies of this type actually do fulfill an important function given the complex, recurrent, and intractable nature of many contemporary conflicts. Parties typically lack direct channels or communications um, for processing the different conceptions of what the issues are at stake, etc. They do not have opportunity or willingness to explore mutually advantageous outcomes of their own violations. Let's say practically on the base level. So mediator facilitating dialogue and communication under such circumstances, even if this translates into simply transmitting information between parties, it is a minimum providing a prerequisite for effective conflict management. And then we have a second, which is procedural strategies. Okay, so for procedural strategies, it involves efforts by the mediator to exert control and influence over matters of process such as agenda formulation, timetables, media access, and the overall tenor of the meetings themselves. Actually, this requires power as well as creativity in introducing ways to remove obstacles and circumvent constraints to progress. This can be seen how President Carter's actions at Camp David, as highlighted in the opening vignette, serve as an example of procedural strategy employed by a mediator. It is actually important because protagonists tend to have a little or no opportunity to interact in any setting other than the battlefield. Imagine like you're having a fight with your friends to the point that you can't even talk to each other. So you will need someone like neutral to help you out with it. Same goes to international states. So that can be seen like how this role of mediator happened to responsible to ensure that the relationship are slow down. So next we have directive strategies. So this one is referring to constitute the most robust and intense form of mediation and typically take over when a mediator perceives a settlement to be within reach. A mediator who employs a directive strategy attempts to shape the content and nature of that settlement through utilizing like carrots, which is material incentives and promises of supports. And sometimes they use sticks, which is threats of sanctions or diplomatic rebuke.
Alright, so truthfully, um, mediation is, as much as we might have thought it's a simple procedure, the third party um, being the middle person to the conflicted states, but actually there are several conditions that need to be aware of, and that the third party need to be careful. So here's the conditions that need to be aware of, fulfilled. One of it is you are allowed to intervene, but not to interfere. And also, not to forget, the third party must be free of bias, meaning that they should not have any other ulterior motives and or perhaps certain kind of interest while helping these conflicted parties. Okay. So for third thing is voluntary, freewheeling, meaning that the third party itself, the organization, the individual state that wish to help the state, conflicted state, must be in condition of you're willing to help. Simple to say, willing to help. You're not being forced by anyone or being coerced to do to do the mediation method upon the conflicted countries.
While mediation often helps communication between parties, a focus on the settlement of narrow issues would not delve into the analysis of deeper sources of exploitative social and economic conditions. Dialogue or other interactive processes of conflict resolution utilize a collaborative method to explore the root causes of conflict and conditions for satisfying vital needs of adversaries. When official negotiating channels are closed or dysfunctional, citizen groups can play an important role in nurturing a climate of trust and even develop proposals to be delivered to their own government. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Bye!